Most gym rats will have resistance bands for one thing, and that is pull-ups. I mean, I'm guilty of this, but they'll use it for pull-ups, maybe for their rotator cuffs, maybe for some rehab work, and that's pretty much it. And imagine that, you're spending like £40, $40 on a purchase to use for one thing. Think of a time you've actually done that, and you probably can't think of one. Now, Anatoly uses resistance bands all the time. Not on every single exercise, but he uses them to modify a movement path to better align with his goals of that movement. So this could be something like doing a JM press, which is just like a Smith machine chest press only using your elbows. Maybe he does that and he bands it, so it's easier at the bottom and harder at the top, to better align with, the triceps. When I first used resistance bands, I was one of those guys. I literally just used it for pull-ups. That was the only time I used it. And sure, it helps, I guess. But they're called resistance bands. And you can either see that as something that provides resistance, or you can see it as something better, which changes the resistance. And the second you start seeing it the second way, that's a bit of a mouthful, but the second you do that, you're able to have limitless potential, because you can take a movement that biases the shortened position and you can go, I don't know if I like that. And you can make it bias a completely different position just by playing around with the resistance bands. So why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you actually messing with this sort of stuff to change things? Like, take the leg extension. That could be better. And you know how we can make it better? We can band it, which is also super good if you start repping the stack. We band it, it gets even harder in the shortened position, which is when it's supposed to be the most hardest. And that is the only time you're training the rec fem in the shortened position. So imagine we do that. That's awesome. We have the power in our hands. This isn't just for pull-ups. This isn't for our rotator cuff. Like, imagine that was the only two things. Why would anyone do this? Why would you actually buy it? Like, why would you waste your money on something like that when you can do it with the cable machine, or you can do a pull down? Think about it. You're trying to modify and add to something which you can't do. You have all these machines, and they have customizability in their height, in their weight, maybe in the path if you're lucky, like you can set it back further and whatnot. But we don't have customizability. Whoops. We don't have customizability usually in the actual movement path, unless we're very, very lucky where we have one of the ones with like 3 different plate placements and we can put them in different things to bias different things. So these resistance bands can become our best friend. They can change movements in ways we didn't even anticipate. Take the hack squat. If you don't have the hack squat, then I guess fast forward. Maybe listen if you want to. But if you have the hack squat, which is one of my favorite exercises, the first time I ever done this, it was awful for one of the reasons I'm going to mention. But if you've done a hack squat without a band, it is hard. It is very, very hard at the bottom portion. But if you've done a hack squat with a band, it's a completely different movement. It feels beautiful. It feels like it aligns perfectly with our body. And so band your hack squat. Give it a go. Start banding things. Start seeing what you can achieve when you're changing movement paths. It's actually incredible. And you can plug and play. You can have a chest movement and you can go, oh, I want to be more short and biased this month. And you can switch it up. You can constantly evolve the exercises you're doing. And that's awesome. And it's as simple as tying something around something. You don't have to buy a separate machine. You don't have to have a separate tool. You just have to add something on. It's plug and play. And it's in your fingertips.